Fatty Shu expertly utilized his ice skill, showcasing his frozen botnet skills. Alone, he covered several kilometers with ice and snow, significantly slowing the advance of the zombies. Seizing the opportunity, Teacher Liang wielded his Edmund Farmer's sword, transforming into a whirlwind of destruction. The ordinary zombies were cleaved apart as if they were mere vegetables. Uncle Vu, armed with a Gatling gun, opened fire on the approaching zombies, mowing them down with relentless precision. In the blink of an eye, 30 minutes had passed. Each minute on the battlefield was a grueling ordeal for the coalition, which had no choice but to fight to the death against the pride of zombies. In the midst of this desperate struggle, the zombie assault was gradually being held back. The coalition's defensive circle, however, continued to shrink, making it increasingly difficult for the zombies to breach their lines. Despite the contraction of their defenses, some giant spiritual rats managed to slip through the gaps and infiltrate areas where ordinary congregants of Bishu sect were stationed. Without any protection, the giant rats wreaked havoc among the defenseless followers of Bishu. Their cries of despair and anguish reached Xiao Honglian and others, who were too preoccupied with their own survival to care for the fate of the sect's ordinary members. Zhang Yi observed the giant rats sneaking in and hesitated briefly before deciding to intervene. He didn't want to risk internal chaos affecting the frontline combat status, so he turned his weapon on the intruding rats. Meanwhile, Xiao Honglian and her team grew increasingly anxious. It had been 40 minutes since the start of the battle, and despite their agreement to hold out for no more than 30 minutes, the situation seemed dire. Bian Junwu remained calm, instructing them to endure for another 10 minutes while they dealt with the zombies underground. Xiao Honglian's frustration was palpable, but she had no choice but to trust the plan. As the battle area continued to shrink, the number of infected and severely wounded increased. The heavily fortified positions were overrun, turning them into bait for the zombies and giant rats. This unfortunate turn of events reduced the pressure on the combatants, allowing them a brief respite. Zhang Yi also took a moment to breathe easier, appreciating the extra time gained. Suddenly, Wawa, his companion, perked up, her ears twitching as he showed her sharp fangs. He began to grow rapidly, his senses alert to an approaching enemy. Zhang Yi quickly realized what was happening. With a whoosh, a cool wind swept over Zhang Yi as Wawa took to the air. Zhang Yi looked up and saw a dozen bronze-armored masters with wings emerging above. It seemed like a new breed, possibly a creation of the Zombie King. In response, Wawa, now in her bronze armor, lunged at the new threat. The other flying corpses, receiving orders, dove towards Zhang Yi. Without hesitation, Zhang Yi opened a dimensional gate and fired at the frontmost bronze-armored pilots, sending them crashing through the portal. He also sniped a bronze-armored flying horse, which further disrupted the enemy's advance. The remaining bronze-armored pilots, witnessing this, ceased their attack and began to circle above Zhang Yi, waiting for the right moment to strike. As the situation grew dire, Zhang Yi expanded the scope of one space of the double door, causing the bronze armor to hover in the air and prevent the pilots from having any room to attack. Zhang Yi hoped this would work, but he was prepared to use the double door to escape directly if necessary. With a loud roar, the bronze-armored flying lion in the sky was drawn towards the coalition. The bronze-armored pilots hesitated for a moment in the air before flying in the direction of the coalition. Realizing the danger, Zhang Yi used a communication device to warn everyone, "Attention! There is a flying bronze armorer in the sky. Be careful." The leaders of the 3 Doomsday bases were in disbelief when they learned that the bronze armor had evolved into a flying monster. Even with Zhang Yi's prior warning and the coalition's air defenses, they still suffered significant losses from the aerial attacks. Xing Tian, enraged, picked up his giant axe and swung it at a bronze-armored pilot who had just landed. However, the pilot's agility allowed him to dodge Xing Tian's fatal blow. Seeing this, Zhang Yi felt a sense of impending doom. He knew that sooner or later, this place would be overrun by zombies. He hoped that Bian Junwu would defeat the naughty Corpse King soon. As Zhang Yi looked into the distance, he saw more zombies approaching. Taking a deep breath, he realized the gravity of the situation. He turned on his team's communication equipment and instructed Mr. Liang, Uncle Yu, and Puff to stop fighting the zombies and evacuate immediately, ready to leave the Bishui church at any moment. After giving these instructions, Zhang Yi glanced towards the church, determined to find Zhou Kei'er. As he approached the church, his pupils constricted in horror. From above the church, a bronze-armored flying corpse swooped down. Zhang Yi cursed under his breath, sensing that things were about to get worse. In this critical moment, Zhang Yi quickly activated the doors for space. When he reached the roof of the church, screams erupted from inside. In the next second, a bright light shot out of the church, and the bodies of 2 bronze-armored flying corpses were ejected by a powerful shockwave. This sight brought a sense of relief to Zhang Yi. It seemed there were experts inside the church, meaning Kei'er was still safe. Zhang Yi jumped into the church and saw a group of bishops huddled in a corner, and on the church podium stood the indifferent Yuan Kongye. Zhang Yi was curious. Was Yuan Kongye a hidden expert? His eyes darted around and spotted Zhou Kr trembling in a corner. Relieved to see him safe, Zhang Yi hugged him excitedly and reassured him, "I'm here, it's alright." Yuan Kongye, seeing Zhang Yi jump out of the church midair, guessed that his ability might be related to space. Zhou Kr, looking at Zhang Yi with worry, asked if he could hold on. Zhang Yi comforted him, "Don't be afraid. Come with me now." Suddenly, several zombies burst through the church doors with roars, rushing towards Zhang Yi and the others. Zhang Yi grabbed Zhou Kr and opened the double door, rushing inside. In the chaos, he didn't know if he could close the door in time to save himself and Zhou Kr, or if the others in the church would meet their demise.